Hi there. My name is Deana Mitchell, and I'm the founder of the Realize Foundation. And I'm here to explain a little more about what it looks like to tell your story in one of our books. So, what we do is we have a 12-week process where we meet on Zoom one night every week for about an hour. Sometimes we go over, sometimes we don't take a whole hour. But what we do is we start with a um, author coach who talks about how to tell your story or how to pick the right story. And then we have a publisher and an editor that does a presentation for us and tells us about the whole process, explains all the pieces of this, and then answers your questions. And then we have a deadline for when your first draft is due. So between those first two calls and when your draft is due, we have some calls where we're just talking about your questions. We're talking about what you're writing about. What are you struggling with? What do you need help with? How can we support you? How can we just talk to each other about how to proceed with this. We're writing about hard things, so we want to always have stories of adversity. It doesn't necessarily have to be about suicide, but it can be about addiction or loss or grief or abuse or invisible diseases. It can be about a lot of things, but we definitely want it to be a hard story where you can show how you got through it. And that is what gives other people hope. And so we also will talk about the marketing process, the publishing process. So you'll learn a lot about publishing a book through this process. And then we'll have a virtual book launch when we're ready to launch the book. And that will be, all of us will be on a Zoom event, a virtual event, and we can invite all of our friends and family and colleagues or whoever you want to invite to that event, so they can see how we launch this book and meet all of you. So the other thing we do that's kind of different is we have a podcast and I interview each person on the podcast, and those episodes will come out in the weeks following the book launch. So it depends on how many people are in the book, and that'll be that many weeks before everybody's podcast is out. Also, I want to make sure you understand that you always own the rights to your story. We do not ask for ownership of that at all. And at the end of the process, you will get a copy of the full book, but with only your chapter. So it'll have the foreword and the table of contents and everything, but it would only have your story in it. And you get that PDF to use however you like. I have one of them on my website as a free download. So you can do a lot of different things with that once you have it. The other thing we do is we make a video, 2 videos actually. So I ask each person when we do the podcast 2 questions after we stop recording the podcast. I ask you, what is your story about? And what was your experience being part of the project? And both of those can be a couple sentences, and we clip them together or edit them together so we can show everyone's answer to those 2 questions on our virtual book launch. So not only do the people get to come and see we're launching a book, but they get to hear from you about what you wrote about and also about how was your experience being part of this project. And so I just wanted to, we've gotten bestseller categories in all of our books except for one. And this last book we put out was the best. We got 11 different #1 categories on Amazon. We also have it on Kindle for 99 cents so that people who need these stories to give them hope and let them know they're not alone, that they have access to them. So the whole point of the book is, how do we take our lived experiences and turn them into lifelines so they can give other people hope and other people know they're not alone. And I had a suicide attempt that I didn't speak about for 23 years. And I always say, if I would have had one of these books during those 23 years, I probably would have at least had one conversation with someone, because I was never going to raise my hand and say I needed help. And so this is our way to reach people who need hope that don't want to talk about it yet. So that's the purpose of our books. We've sold over 2,500 books so far. Um, and, we just want to keep going. We want to keep providing stories of hope for people. And we want to keep helping authors share their story and healing from their own journey if they still need to. So I hope you will consider sharing your story and applying on the website. There's a button around this video somewhere, and you can apply, and I will get the message. It only comes to me, and I will be in touch with you. So again, I hope you're willing to share your story to give others hope, and I can't wait to meet you.